Hey everybody, wanted to record two quick videos to cover some things that I saw in the HTML drafts that we were going through. A number of people had issues replacing the images that are built into the theme, as I've done here. There were placeholders before, and they probably look something more like this. But how to replace these can be a little tricky depending on what theme you're using. So we're going to do two different examples, how to replace these images in the HTML when that's necessary, and how to do them through CSS when that's necessary. So I'm going to bring up my current Dreamweaver site, which is the HTML2 draft. I haven't done any CSS yet, and I just have all of my content in here. I'm going to open up, let me switch to the right theme here. I'm going to open up the Portfolio 2 page, which I have not replaced any of these images on yet. So there's a placeholder image here. That's what this gray 700 by 400 box is. This is just a placeholder image that's powered by html.com. And if you click on it, it'll navigate you to the code so you can see that the source is just going to this URL for this website that is placeholder. These are all placeholder images. And pretty much all we want to do is replace that URL with a file path leading to an image that we have on our site folder. So I'm going to select that code and I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to start typing an image path because all my images are in the images folder. So if I start typing it, then I'm going to get a little preview showing me everything that could go there. These ones starting with project are images that I've sized in Photoshop to be 700 by 400. So if I select that, it should fit perfectly right in there. Again, all we did is replaced the URL that was going to an external link, and we start typing in a file path that is in our project folder. And I have pre-sized these images so that I know that they're going to fit right. And that's something that's helpful about having this preset image here that shows me exactly how big it should be. Let's take a look at another template though. A number of people are using this template or something similar to this, where you've got this background image here that you may look in the code and you're not going to find it in the HTML. So even if I dig through here and say like, okay, this is the area called masthead because it's got welcome to our studio, it's got nice to meet you, it's got this tell me more button, but it doesn't have in this area any HTML that's linking to that image. There's no URL to change right there. That's because they added this image via CSS and not via HTML. It takes a little bit of poking around to see first, is it in the HTML? If it's not in the HTML, then we got to go find it in the CSS. There are two things that we need to find it in the CSS. One is the class ID. So whenever we're making custom CSS, we're going to be assigning classes, and therefore anything that we do in the CSS is going to tie back to this class. So we're going to be looking for masthead. So I'm going to copy that. The second thing, though, is looking in the right spot. If you look in, let me go to the right project here. Nope. I want agency theme. And you look, there should be more than one bootstrap. There should be a bootstrap CSS and a style CSS, but it's probably just linked externally. We can go up here and see exactly where all of our CSS is. So in this one, we just have this style.css, which is linked here. So only one place to look. There might be a bootstrap.css and a style. We generally want to look in the one that's not bootstrap because that's going to be all standard, just a whole bunch of text. There is a whole bunch of CSS in here, though. But this is where our class ID comes in handy. I'm going to do Command F, which is going to help me search, and I'm going to paste masthead. So this is where any and all CSS that has been designed by the template, theme. Generally, themes have a lot more style than the templates, which are going to be pretty black and white. So I can see here that there is a URL path. So again, it's not an external URL. It's just pointing into this folder for images, and it's got this header BG. I can open that up in Finder. I want to take a look at this file because in order to replace this, we're going to want to replace it with something that's similarly sized. So I can see this is 1900 by 1250. And I got this other image that I want to use that is more of a landscape background image. Looks like this. It's way too big, though, as you can see. Whoops, it keeps zooming in here. It's a pretty big image, which is great because we can make it the exact right pixel size, but it's too big image-wise, file size. This would take too long to load. So we want to make this the same size as this header BG in pixel count, and ideally somewhere around there as well. So this should be 1900 by 1250. We don't have to crop this, but it's going to perform better if we do crop it, basically, because it's going to fit in with the template as it's been designed. Sorry, let me bring this over from my other monitor. Great, so we want to crop this to 1900 by 1250, which you can put exactly up in here, so it'll be the right aspect ratio. And then I'm going to save this for web, and I'm going to make sure that I'm saving this at the right pixel count. So even though I cropped it to the aspect ratio, I need to put 1900 by 1250. And I can play with the compression here. So 800 is still a little big. I want to lower this until I'm not really seeing much compression, but where I get a better file size. Under 0.5 MB would be ideal. And so I'm going to save this in the folder that has all of these images. I'm going to replace the one that's there because I want just this small one now. Back in Dreamweaver, so we're in the code. I'm going to refresh this to make sure that it knows that that new picture is there. And then I'm going to start typing again. Oops. I think I need to do it like I did it before, so let me undo this one more time, actually. Dreamweaver stalling. I think rather than replacing all of this, because I just need to replace the last path here, and then I can start typing and it should be able to find the image, because I already know I want it to look in the same assets image folder. All the images should be in the same spot. Great. Only issue now is I'm seeing that the text is a little bit light, so I can either change the text color or I could go back and I can add a semi-transparent layer of black to the image. So those are the two ways, either looking in the HTML or in the CSS, but either way, you just want to find that placeholder image path and replace it with one of your own images that's in the correct image folder with everything else.